Welcome to Biochemistry DSP channel. In this video, I'll be explaining about the metabolism of low density lipoproteins, LDL lipoproteins. LDL lipoproteins. So this LDL is neither synthesized by liver or by intestine. It is derived from the metabolism of VLDL. Okay. So this LDL is derived from the metabolism of VLDL, and as compared to VLDL, the density of this LDL will be more. Okay. uh, because it contains high percentage of protein compared to VLDL. So when you compare this LDL, this LDL will contain 80% of lipid and 20% of proteins. So the lipid components of this LDL will include 50% cholesterol, 22% phospholipids, and 8% triglyceride. The only apoprotein which is present in low density lipoprotein is ApoB100. This lipoprotein, this LDL lipoprotein is rich in cholesterol. LDL serves to transport cholesterol from liver to extrahepatic tissues. So that is a major role of LDL lipoprotein. So this LDL binds to LDL receptor. Okay, the LDL will bind to LDL receptor on the target surface. Okay, a target cell tissue surface that will recognize the apoprotein B100. Then after binding to that receptor, which is specific for apoprotein B100, the receptor LDL complex is taken up by endocytosis. This is how it gets metabolized. Okay, so the liver and extrahepatic tissues will express more amount of this LDL receptors specific for ApoB100 and ApoE. LDL is metabolized only through this LDL receptor. So any absence or defective receptor will lead to familial hypercholesterolemia. So there will be a positive correlation between the incidence of atherosclerosis and plasma concentration of LDL cholesterol, since it is metabolized via LDL receptor. Now we'll see the metabolism of this LDL and LDL receptors. So after binding of this LDL to the receptor, it will be this receptor LDL complex will be taken up by endocytosis. The binding of this LDL to the receptor is mediated by apoprotein B100. Okay, the intracellular domain is responsible for clustering of this LDL receptors into a region of the plasma membrane called coated pits. So you have to know what is meant by Clathrin coated pits. These coated pits are nothing but these are the domains responsible for clustering. Okay, it will bring all the LDL receptors together in a particular region in a plasma membrane called coated pits. So when ApoB100 binds to this ApoB100 receptor, so this coated pits will be rich in LDL receptor which are specific for this ApoB100. So when this LDL which contains only this apoprotein B100 binds to this binds to this receptor, the receptor LDL complex. Okay, it will form a complex called the receptor LDL complex. Uh, uh, this will internalize. Okay, so it will be so internalization will occur uh, by endocytosis. The internalized LDL is then degraded by the lysosomal enzymes, which will yield cholesterol, phospholipids, and free fatty acids, glycerol, and also amino acids. Okay, so once the LDL which is having ApoB100 binds to this area, a cluster of LDL receptors called coated pits, it will be internalized by a process called endocytosis. The endosome vesicles now fuses with this lysosome. So the receptor, now what will happen after this endocytosis means it will be acted upon by the lysosomal enzyme. So it will fuse, this coated vesicle will fuse with the lysosome. uh, in the lysosome it will be acted upon by the lysosomal enzyme, where this LDL will be digested and it will yield cholesterol, phospholipids, free fatty acids, glycerol and amino acids. Now the free receptor, which is cleared of all this content, cholesterol, free fatty acid, phospholipids, will return to the cell membrane to bind further LDL molecules. So the cholesterol derived intracellularly from LDL is utilized. What will the fate of this cholesterol means? It will be utilized for the synthesis of vitamin D in the skin, or it will be taken to liver where it gets converted into bile acids and steroid hormones in the retinal renal cortex, and in the gonads it will be converted into steroid hormones, and for the structural purpose also this cholesterol will be utilized. uh, and the cholesterol which is re-esterified to cholesterol ester will be stored. Okay, so this is a fate of the cholesterol released from LDL. The intracellular cholesterol which is derived from this LDL will also regulate the de novo synthesis of cholesterol. Okay, so this excess of cholesterol will also have a uh, inhibiting action over the enzyme called HMG CoA reductase, okay, which is a key enzyme for the de novo biosynthesis of cholesterol. So this whatever cholesterol which is released through LDL lipoprotein also in turn will inhibit the enzyme HMG CoA reductase. So the free receptors, after returning to the surface, it will bind with further LDL molecules. So approximately 70% of LDL will be degraded in the liver and only 30% will be degraded in the extrahepatic tissues. Okay, this is a fate. I told about the fate of this free cholesterol. Then due to the release of this cholesterol, the level of intracellular cholesterol will be increased. Okay, so this increased level of intracellular cholesterol, which is due to the action of LDL uptake, in turn activates ACAT, ACAT. Okay, ACAT, and it will also allow the storage of excess cholesterol within the cells. So this effect, okay, it will affect the cholesterol induced suppression of LDL receptor synthesis, which will depend mainly on the LDLs and IDL, which are removed from the serum. So this will lead to excess circulating levels of cholesterol, which may get deposited in the arteries, leading to atherosclerosis. So this is reason why LDL is causative agent for the incident of coronary atherosclerosis, because in the case of it is degraded only in the through LDL receptor. So if LDL receptor is defective in means it will lead to familial hypercholesterolemia, since most of the LDL is degraded in the liver and only 30% is degraded in the extrahepatic tissues, there may be a higher incidence for coronary atherosclerosis. Now we'll see what is importance of this LRP receptors. Two types of receptors are there to one is LDL related receptors, another one is called LDL receptor related proteins, LRPs. So the importance of this LDL receptor related protein family uh, is it has got many diverse activities, which includes including lipid metabolism, nutrient transport and protection against atherosclerosis. So these LDL receptors are a group of structurally related transmembrane proteins which are involved in variety of functions to that is, they have a major role in lipid metabolism, nutrient transport, as well as to protect against atherosclerosis. This LDL receptor family of proteins includes LRP1, LRP1b, LRP2, which is also called as megalin, LRP4, also called MEGF7 for multiple epidermal growth like domains, protein 7, and LRP5, 6, LRP8, and VLDL receptors. So these are various other types of LRP receptors. Then LRP1 is also called as CD91 or alpha 2 macroglobulin receptor. LRP1 is involved in lipoprotein transport, in the modulation of platelet derived growth factor receptor B signaling, then regulation of cell surface protease activity, and in controlling the cellular entry of bacteria and viruses. So, regulation of PDGFRB activity mediates the protective effects of LRP1 in the development of atherosclerosis. The major role of LRP2 uh, is to reabsorb the that is, it is involved in the reabsorption of numerous molecules in the proximal convoluted tubule of kidney. It is found in the apical surface of epithelial borders, as well as it is formed intracellularly in endosomes. This LRP2 binds lipoproteins. It can bind with lipoproteins, hormones, vitamins, vitamin binding proteins, proteases, and protease inhibitor complexes. So these are some of the functions of receptor related proteins, LRPS. Now, what is meant by bad cholesterol? Why this cholesterol, LDL, this lipoprotein cholesterol, low density lipoprotein cholesterol is called as bad cholesterol? Because this LDL is, most of the LDL is formed from VLDL. It gets deposited in heart muscle, mainly whatever it is, a richer source of cholesterol. So most of the cholesterol will be deposited in the extrahepatic tissues, especially in the heart tissues. Hence it is called as bad cholesterol. And here this LDL will be converted into oxidized LDL. So this LDL, oxidized form of LDL, will be responsible for blood clot formation on the surface of the endothelium. Why it is called bad cholesterol means, due to this this LDL may undergo oxidation to be converted into oxidized LDL, which is responsible for blood clot formation on the surface of the endothelial cells. So this oxidized LDL will be higher in chain smokers, okay, persons who smoke cigarettes, and patients who suffer from diabetes and insulin resistance. So all these patients will have high amount of oxidized LDL. This oxidized LDL will be responsible for the incidence of coronary heart disease. Hence it is this LDL is represented as bad cholesterol. Hope you would have understood about the metabolism of LDL and the functions of LDL. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe and support the channel Biochemistry DSP.